Hello Yu-Gi-Oh players and welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Business Casual. I'm your host, the RJB0. I'm going to try and make this video as quick as possible, so I'm probably going to be talking pretty quickly and leaving a couple of things out, but that's what the Facebook group is for if you want to discuss this further. My last take was like 20 minutes, and you guys probably don't have the time for that. So this is my tourney report for Nats, and along with my deck profile, so I'm going to shoot you guys the tourney report as quickly as possible. I wanted to bring a modified version of the Mach and a Mash deck that I had made for you guys a few months ago because I figured A, it's an original deck, B, it's really fun, and I didn't expect to actually win any games when I went to Nats, this being my first Nats after my first regional. So I wanted to bring something fun and original, and I figured that Cyber Dragons and Cyber L10 were really good against Dragasac, so why not? But I couldn't get the parts I needed for that, nor could I get the parts I needed for the Chain Beat build that I wanted to bring to Nats. So I ended up deciding to run what I know, which is Thunder Family. I ended up talking over the deck with some random guy that I met at the tournament throughout the entirety of Friday. So this is what came out. It doesn't really lose to Dragons or Evil Swarms. I think I lost a grand total of 2 games against Dragons. Well, 2 legitimate games. I'll get to that in a moment. But the first round that I tied with Dragons. That was one of the duels against Dragons that I lost. I won game 1 because this deck has a fantastic game 1. Then Dragons won game 2, and then we opened up at the time, and the judge called it a draw. Then I won against Evil Swarms. I 2-0'd him because Thought Ruler Archfiend is amazing. Then I went against Tidal Mermails, which I lost in game 3 in time. It was the second last turn. I had a Shockmaster and a Paladynamo. I'd used the Shockmaster to call monster effects. He had a Zen Mains, and he had a back row, a face-down back row. He had 1,300. I had 2,500. He top decks Dark Hole, and then attacks with the Zen Mains, and then opens the Abyss Sphere to attack for game. So I thought that that was kind of infuriating, but then I went against Dragons, and I won against Dragons again. I 2-0'd him, even though I discovered that there are really stupid people. There are extremely stupid people, but it takes a special class of person to be attempted Diamond Dire or Dragasac with a full field of tokens stupid. So that was the dumbest mistake I've made, I'm pretty sure, in the entire game to date. But I still won that round, or that game, because of recycling batteries in Crimson Blader. But then I lost to Prophecy in game 3, and then I lost in a really dumb way to Dragons. I won game 1 hands down because that's what I do, and then we go into game 2, and we begin to play, and I thought that I had counted my side deck out perfectly, but he calls for a deck check, and it turns out I'm missing a card from my side deck. It's not in my main deck, but I'm missing a card from my side deck, but he gives me the game loss anyway. So I tried to appeal, but I couldn't prove that my opponent had like stolen anything or something. So I pretty much got I got rule sharked out of my game 2, and then game 3 I opened spells and a compulsory, and that was pretty much it. And I lost that round, and that pretty much knocked me out of the tournament. But I decided to go through with my final round, which I won against Evil Swarms, which I did not 2-0 because he was the first Evil Swarm player I've ever seen who actually decided to bottomless my Thought Ruler. So that was how the day went for me as far as matches. Here is the deck. Now there are some crazy choices in here, and it's kind of departing from my usual Thunder Family deck. And I promise you guys this will be the last Thunder Family deck profile you get for a while. But I figured I'd show you guys this to you guys because it's different and because I went to Nats with it. So first, 3 Thunder Seahorse. Of course, I don't need to explain that. I actually ended up siding 2 out most of the time against Dragons because I figured it was too slow for me and I didn't really need it, especially with my side deck. Then I have 3 Maw Hunter and only 2 Paw Hunter. I figured that those cards were going to clog a lot when I was playing pretty much anything, because these 2 cards alone, like if you have these on top of each other, they don't produce any advantage. They make actually using those cards together makes the game harder for you in a few ways. So I didn't want to end up with these guys, multiples of these guys in my hand. So I figured I'd take out one of the Paw Hunters since it's the weaker one for space. And I'll show you why that was a really important decision later. Then, of course, my standard engine, the 3 Watt Cobras, because it's Watt Cobra and double Watt Giraffe. As usual, Watt Cobra was my MVP. He won me tons of games. He got me out of a number of extremely tight situations because all I needed was a Watt Cobra, an Imperial Iron Wall, and a Threatening Roar to get me out of bad situations. So Watt Cobra made me free Xyz, and Watt Giraffe made me invincible Xyz. So I figured why not run 3 Watt Cobra and 2 Watt Giraffe, because a third Watt Giraffe probably would have clogged a little bit, and I didn't want to be drawing that. So I figured I'd go for space over the third Watt Giraffe. Then I have the 2 Violon Prism, of course, because it's this format. This is one of the things that helped me win against Dragons Game 1. It's one of the things that actually helped me win against Evil Swarms Game 1, because if you open with Thought Ruler, in all reality, they don't really have many outs for it, especially if you have outs for things like Bahamut and other things like that. So I actually ended a few games against Evil Swarms with more than 10,000 life points. Actually, I think it was like 2 games against Evil Swarms, 1 game against Dragons because of this card and Thought Ruler. Then, probably the most important choice, triple Photon Thrasher, because it's like Maw and Paw Hunter, except you can't search it with Thunder Seahorse, which kind of sucks, but it's immune to Veiler. And that's really important, because if your Maw Hunter or Paw Hunter gets Veilered, you're left with a monster with less than 1,500 attack points and no plays. So the Photon Thrasher protected me from Veiler, and pretty much ensured that I got those Crimson Bladers against Dragons. So I would not change that for the world. Then 2 Maxis. I kind of would have liked 3 because this guy helped me to stop plays against Dragons, which allowed me to run over their Dragons with Crimson Blader if they decided to not take the Maxi challenge, and it was even better when they decided to take the Maxi challenge. So that was pretty great. Then triple Forbidden Lance. I had 20 monsters, 8 spells. Triple Forbidden Lance was an interesting main deck choice that I made on Friday, just kind of on a whim, because I was like, there are so many things that I like about Forbidden Lance, and there's so many things that you can do with it this format, that I figured it was a great choice. It ended up winning me my game 1 against Prophecies, because he attacked me with a Jowgen with a Star Hall on the board, and I ended up lancing his Jowgen in the damage step, and I won like that because Shockmaster. I ended up siding out 2 of these against Dragons because they weren't especially useful. Then I had 2 Forbidden Chalice. Now, I was running Veilers, and a lot of people told me to run Breakthrough Skills, but I really like Chalice over both of those. First, Chalice can be used during your turn as well. It can also be used during the damage step, so it's much better than Veiler in that respect. And Breakthrough Skill is just way too slow for me, and I liked about Chalice the fact that I could go for that turn 1 Crimson Blader play. Even if my opponent opened with Dragasack, I could hit it with Forbidden Chalice, run them over with a Crimson Blader, and then I pretty much won from there. So the double Forbidden Chalice was a great choice. Then I have my recycling cards, double recycling batteries, 1 Pot of Avarice. Now the Pot of Avarice I might actually take out for a Rhoda or something, because it didn't really help me. I sided it out against Dragons because I figured I wasn't going to go into the grind game against Dragons, and I used it once against an Evil Swarm deck, and that actually helped me out quite a bit, but I already had tons of card advantage at the time, so I really didn't need the Pot of Avarice. I would rather run something that speeds my deck up a little bit, but the 2 recycling batteries was a good choice. So that's 8 spells. Then for the traps, we've got the 3 compulsory. I shouldn't have to explain it. It beats the meta. Then, one of the things that won me my game 1s, triple Imperial Iron Wall. Really, it won because it was good against Dragons, and it was good against Prophecy. It was good against Tidal Mermails. If you used it at the right time, I took it out against Tidal Mermails, understandably, because they really like Imperial Iron Wall, and it doesn't hurt them that much, but really this won me game 1 pretty much all the time. Then double Threatening Roar, because if you use it to protect a Watt Cobra, it pays for itself, and it keeps my opponent from OTKing, so I can make some pretty great plays in the next turn. I didn't run 3 like I thought of doing before, or neither did I run Messenger of Peace, mostly because I thought it was a little redundant with the amount of protection I already have. Then double Tory. I was using Bottomlesses, but somebody correctly warned me against it, using these in the same deck that I mained Imperial Iron Wall in, so this ended up going really well for me. And then the Solemn Twins. So then we have the side deck. We have 3 Draw and Lockbird, which a lot of people really didn't like against Prophecy, but I figured that Draw and Lockbird versus Prophecy is really a game of skill. Whoever's got the more skill going into anything involving Draw and Lockbird versus Prophecy is probably going to win. I won my game 1 against Prophecy, I lost game 2, and then we I lost game 3, but the draw and lock birds really helped me out. Then I have 2 electric fires. There's a funny as hell play I made against Evil Swarms using this card, and I'll get to that later. But this helped me take Ophions and use it to go for game. It helped me to take Dragosacs and pop back row. There were a lot of great things I could do with the double electric fires. The third, Violent Prism, because it's really good against dragons, it's really good against Tidal Mermills, and it helps me to get the Eradicator targets out against Prophecy. So then we have Honest. I side decked Honest for Evil Swarms, which actually turned out to be a great idea because they don't have many damage step tricks. So I could take out pretty much any of their monsters with Honest at any time I wanted, and I figured it was really good to have them have that fear of Honest at any time. Then, on a whim, I used Grand Mole, which actually turned out to be a pretty good choice. It didn't actually win me a whole lot of games, but it got me out of some tight situations, so I just figured I'd run it for funsies, and it turned out really well. Then Double Space, which I used once against Evil Swarms and against the Prophecy matchup. I'd keep it in here even though I didn't use it that much, just because it's an important thing to have in the side deck. Then my traps in the side deck, I had Gozen Match, of course, because it's useful against dragons. And that actually helped me out a lot. It was basically a second Imperial Iron Wall. So that was really helpful. And then the 3 Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Because I have dark monsters with more than 2,500 attack points in my extra deck, this card was actually really amazing. If I had access to Crazy Box, I would have made the 3 of these, and I probably would have not lost any games. Just because Crazy Box is so amazing and because I could use this Eradicator pretty much any time I wanted. But the craziest play that I made on Saturday, and was actually the funniest one because my opponent was kind of a sore loser. He was so angry, and I was amazed he didn't flip a table. So I had this Eradicator set the entire game, waiting for him to go into Ophion, and I was just stalling him out, just picking off life points with Walt monsters and taking out his monsters. Finally, he gets a Krakion, and he puts it on the board. He goes for Ophion. He attacks over my Wat Cobra. I let it go, and I'm like, okay. So the next turn, I drop Electric Virus on him. He's like, okay, whatever, you're just going to attack. And then I flip the Eradicator and sack his Ophion to call traps. He had a full back row, no protection, and he pretty much rage quitted at that point. It was freaking fantastic, and it was worth siding the one Eradicator stupidly against Evil Swarms just to be able to make that play. So that's the side deck. The extra deck is relatively self-explanatory. You've got a Mega, because it's a great card, especially against Evil Swarms, and it was just really helpful. Then I have the 2 Shockmaster. I used the second Shockmaster once against Tidal Mermills, but other than that, I only really needed 1. It's one of those cards where if you get it on the board once, you pretty much win the game. So I might have taken one of those out. Then we have Black Ship, because I wanted a card that could close games other than Gaga Cowboy and could get rid of some problem cards on the board. I really liked the Black Ship. Then we have Diamond Dyer, the famed Diamond Dyer, my stupidest play ever. This helped me out against Evil Swarms once because it helped me take out a safe zone, but sometimes I just wanted to use this against Dragosac rather than Paladynamo so that the Dragosac couldn't use its effect to take out the Imperial Iron Wall I had on the board, so that was really helpful. Then the double Paladynamo, I didn't actually end up using the second, but I think it's a good thing to have always, because it's good against Evil Swarms, it's good against Dragosac, and it's just like the best rank 4 Xyz in the game right now. Then we've got 1 Maestro, 1 Abyss Dweller, and then a Gaga Cowboy as a game closer. Then my Synchros were 1 Stardust, 1 Thought Ruler, 1 Colossal Fighter, and 2 Crimson Bladers. Now, if I had thought about it more carefully, I probably would have taken out the Stardust for either a Scrap Dragon or a Violent Alpha. Violent Alpha is basically Scrap Dragon, except I can go into it under Gozen Match. And I probably would have taken out the Crimson Blader for, once again, either another Thought Ruler or a Scrap Dragon or a Violent Alpha. So, other than that and the Avarice, those are the only changes I really would have made to the deck. It would have went awesome places had I not gotten Rule Sharked in my second to last round. So that's the deck. I hope you guys liked it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't like it, let me know why, and then subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Thank you guys for watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Business Casual. Sorry for holding you for so long. I got a jet though. See ya.